Hi guys, Judy Haddad here, owner of Orange Purple Passions, my healing LLC, and founder and executive director of 5 Purple Oranges, the charity I founded after the loss of my son Elan. This is Hit by a Truck, my journey through trauma after being hit by a truck. That's how I lost my son. So I have the man who killed my child is getting out of prison on the 15th, so a week from when you'll be watching this. And I'm going to try to finish up the prison case. I've been avoiding it because it's got so much emotionally charged crap for me, but I'm going to try to finish it next week. So this week, I'm just going off of memory. Next week, I've got a bunch of notes from what happened in court, what the judge said. So I said on my last episode, or last Tuesday's episode, that I was just wondering what the cat's gonna do, that I was angry with the DA. I'm gonna tell you what I know from that time, and then maybe next week when I finish up the court case, I'll tell you what I've learned since. But then, you know, the way my brain works as I talk, who knows what I'm gonna actually say. But the more I know about my case, the more and more I just want to support those organizations like the one John Legend founded in California, or supports in California, that where you really have to, if you can't get politics out of law enforcement, and sheriffs and DAs and prosecutors, those are the two that I'm personally thinking about, you've got to do what you can to work with that, and so everybody gets treated fairly and people aren't, I don't know, dropping through the cracks. The DA working on my case, he's an elected position in Dodge County, Wisconsin. He is a Republican. That's neither here nor there. I honestly am not sure that makes a difference in the way he handles his caseload. Where I have a problem with him is he refuses to, and it's not just my case, he refuses to. I have more respect for someone who goes to court to try and win a case and loses than the one who just doesn't even try. What is it Wayne Gretzky says? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He is that kind of DA. Now there is the need for plea agreements. I understand that. There absolutely, you do not want every case going in front of a jury. You don't want every case going that way. You couldn't ever, no one could manage a caseload like that. But I've been following his career ever since I knew he's the one who would be responsible for our case. And it's kind of insane what seems to enrage him and what he seems to prosecute and what he doesn't. And at this moment in time, I'm not going to talk about any other cases other than my own, but there will come a time when I will. So in January of 2016, I was like in a rage because the DA wasn't doing anything, and I had been under the impression that he had all the information he needed and that he was going to proceed with prosecution. I think I told you in April, we met with him again. I now have information that there were delays that he obviously created. And there was a final delay in the spring of 2016 that was on the sheriff's office. But here's the thing, here's the difference. A made-up delay by the DA because A, he doesn't understand the case, or B, he doesn't want to prosecute it, is very different than an investigator in the sheriff's office who's like, all right, we're already being delayed. I'm going to find out even more information. I'm going to make this case so slam dunk. What do you think I'd rather hear? So I had said, and I'm probably repeating myself, but I had said that at the meeting, I remember my mom saying to the victim witness coordinator that she wanted to bring photos of Alon, and she wanted the DA to, I think she said something about she wanted the DA to see him more than just what was in the autopsy photos, or something. And the victim witness coordinator said, oh, no, he's seen the autopsy photos. I think that we were questioning whether or not he had seen them. And I laughed because I knew he hadn't. The reason I knew he hadn't, and this is in my heart now, not in my brain now, is that he didn't understand the case. He didn't understand the case. Every time he tried to explain the case to me, I was like, what? I had read the report. I was able to ask questions of the officers. I'm not sure that's how it works in every law enforcement agency, but I think if you are in a situation like that, if you can't get the facts from the cop, if you don't understand what you're reading, I think there's the prosecutors and the investigators have a responsibility to explain it to you. Because you can't always count on the lawyers either. So that at court, so in 16, let me go back to 16, I was really pissed. The trucking company that killed Alon, they were posting pictures of the owner with his grandsons on their Facebook page. The man who killed Alon, sorry for the cursing, but he was posting about basically eating pussy on his Facebook page. That 4 months after he killed a 9-year-old boy, he's posting on Facebook about eating pussy. You tell me that's a man who shows remorse, and I will slap you, because that's crap. So I have been waiting and waiting and waiting. So in November of 2016, he was, the man who killed Alon was convicted on the felony charges of homicide for Alon, and then for me it was great bodily harm, and again, I suppose I should have been happy about that. Court is scheduled now for January of 2017. It was actually, I believe, scheduled for my wedding anniversary. So funny. So funny. If you don't know, I had a terrible marriage. I'm not married. I never should have been. Just saying. That's in some previous videos. So I knew that the DA had been waiting for the expert testimony from the other side. I knew he'd been waiting for that. And I also knew that it came in early January. But let me tell you what happened. So my family and I went up the night before court in November, because we thought sentencing was happening in November. I collected just a ton of letters, and one day I might be reading some of those here. I really, really do want to get the court's transcripts too before I really discuss court with you, but I haven't done that yet. So it's really hard for me. I have my notes. We had a ton of letters, family and friends, just all about the loss of Alon. Well, we had several people coming to court. So my friend Tamara Manley, her daughter had been in school with Alon. My friend Edie Ahern, her boys had been in classes with Alon. My friend Margaret, she knew Alon since birth. She took care of him when he was a little bit baby, and she just loved hanging out with him. My friend Stevie, who knew Alon from the skateboarding. Oh my God, am I forgetting anybody? I think that's it. And then, so we were all staying in the same hotel except for Tamara, who stayed at the hotel I stayed in last time I was up in Wisconsin. And we, I don't know, it felt weird. But anyway, we're going up there, Mom and Dad and I. We're going to speak in court. Everybody has a choice of where you want to speak. It can be at the table, it can be at the benches, it can be up in the jury box, up in the witness box. And I was going to face this asshole. And we, I'm sure I had a point in there I was trying to make. So we drove up the night before and we had extra time, and I said, hey, why don't we stop? I had written my statement. Oh, let me just say this. I cannot and still have not eulogized my child. There was so much to his life in 9 years. I don't know how to sum that up. And I don't know how to sum up the depth of my loss and the depth of the loss to society at large. I don't know how to do that. So, and I had read the letters, and they were mostly about what the influence, the effect that this child had on their lives, their children's lives, and the huge amount of loss. And I thought, my job as his mother, my job as his protector, I need to speak to why this, I'm just gonna say murderer, needs to be in prison. Why prison, why prison, why prison, why prison? That was really important to me because it was very clear that the DA wasn't going to ask for prison. And I had to convince the judge, right? The judge can do what the judge wants to do. So we decided to stop by the sheriff's office. I pick up, I'll tell you this little aside, I pick up the report from someone who has only been nice to me. But since then I have found has been kind of nasty to some of my friends at the sheriff's office. So now it's like, I kind of don't appreciate her and try not to see her when I'm up there. But I gotta give her credit, has only ever been nice to me. Pick up the report, it's massive. I asked for a massive amount of information. I mean, I should have brought it. It's like this thick, okay? And I realize now, especially after seeing the criminal complaint and what's in the criminal complaint that the DA has filed, that there is no way he's gone through this amount of information. So thankfully I had my laptop. Thankfully the hotel is new, it had a computer. I sit there, we get to the hotel. I believe we go out to dinner. God, did we go to Culver's? No, I'm hoping we did something else. I think we might have ordered pizza in. We did. I think we sat at the bar drinking and ordered pizza. I'm pretty sure that's what we did, which is funny because now the bar actually will cook you a pizza there. So I'm pretty sure that's what we did. We ordered pizza. My dad had beer. I don't know what I got. Maybe a beer, maybe nothing. And mom did whatever. And I sat down that evening and rewrote my statement because now I had even more facts about this man's ridiculous criminal history. Now, I had already looked up all of his criminal history, and I made sure I spoke to that. Like, it had always been in my statement, why prison, why prison, why prison? But now I had even more. How he was as a driver for this company, how this company was as a company, and the fact that they, awarded him, certificates of safety when he wasn't taking safety classes. He was racking up points. He was being pulled over left, right, and center. He had numerous accidents. So, and as I said, numerous OWIs, how he got a commercial driver's license, I don't know. So that was my mission. I stayed up all night. I rewrote my statement. I felt real positive about it. I have said before, when I'm in psychic pain, I have physical pain right here on my hip, and I can't sit for long periods of time. So at court, before we get to court, and this particular courtroom, they're redoing the AV system in the courthouse. I happen to know. And I'm glad because this particular courtroom, I can't ever hear the judge. It takes me about 20 minutes, maybe more, to start hearing what's being said. It's just a very weird acoustic. I had to wear a listening device in the beginning to hear what was being said because it's really, really difficult. So we get to court. There's a little meeting room off the side. The DA decides to meet with me and my mom. We sit my dad down. I'm not even sure who's there. Like I said, most everybody stayed at the same hotel. we sit there, and it's me and my mom, the victim witness coordinator of the DA, and he starts talking, and I honestly cannot tell you what he said, but here's the interesting part. The senior crash investigator on our case comes in to talk to the DA about now what I know is his rebuttal for the other side, and I'm trying to get them to shut up, my mom, because I want to hear this conversation. So I'm trying to like pretend I'm listening to them and listen to this. They have not had this conversation. So it's now like I think it was a Tuesday. He hasn't met with the DA, and I know it was on the DA. I'm just gonna say I know this. He hasn't met with the DA about my case. Like, what the fudge? Like, so now he's gonna go and testify in court, and they don't have any coordination here. And so he's asking the DA, what do you want me to testify on? Is it this or all of this? I don't even know what he was saying, but I was like furious that this hadn't been worked out. Now I've learned later that, yeah, the DA wasn't prepared at all. I'll tell you why. So I'm listening to this and I'm like, shaking my head. What am I gonna do? So I get to court, and it's all three of the investigators who had been on my case from the crash team and the fire chief came for me as a friend, which is it's like I'm forever grateful. Like, I don't know how you thank someone for that. So I can't sit on the benches. They're really hard. I move over to the plush chairs, and I'm like all the way to the side. The DA's in front of me. This guy has his family on this side. And I'm ready to go. I believe I could be wrong. I believe his side spoke first. I'm pretty sure his side spoke first, and in many ways I'm a garbage person, and let me tell you how I am now. His daughter was talking about the relationship between her son and his grandfather, and I was like, I just wanted to smack her. Oh, we're gonna lose him. This man has, your father has not abided by the law well into his, 60s. He took the life of my 9-year-old. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. My mom, a different story. She actually did feel sorry for her. I was not. No. So maybe that makes me a garbage person. I don't know. So then I sort of arranged the order of the way everybody's going to speak. I wanted my family to go last. I could not sit still. Oh, wait, let me start with the testimony. This is my favorite part. Like, I have never said this to anybody, so I'm telling you for the first time. So the investigator always uses the term underreported. This is underreported. And I didn't ever want to say anything about it, but to me, it's just not like the word I guess you would expect. So he was always saying the speed is underreported, and the reason it was underreported is, I'm not going to bore you with all the physics, but there were because we were hit twice, because the truck had its black box off, all these things, they could only give us a range. I now know that they pinpointed a speed, but at the time they could only give us a range. And I believe the range was, again, we were stopped and it was in a 45 mile per hour zone, and the range was 54 to 72, I believe was their range. Now, listen, even if he was going 54, I've said this before, even if he was going 54, that is still, 9 miles over the speed limit. And he's carrying a heavy load of canned goods, and I'm stopped. That's a force that force is gonna hurt me anyway. And if he was really going that slow, then he would have, and he wasn't following me as closely as he was, then don't you think he would have had time to stop? The man never applied his brakes. In his interview, he claimed he applied his brakes. Science doesn't lie. You never applied your brakes. And like the things he was saying in the interview, like, oh, well, I must have applied the brakes. Crap was flying, you know, that's not the word, it was flying around the thing. No, you hit me, you stupid bastard. You didn't apply your brakes. You think you just slammed on your brakes and then you hit me? No, you hit me with the full force of your truck, you dumb shit. Apparently I'm still angry. Okay, so the defense lawyer, who, as I've told you, is a complete slimeball, starts interviewing the cop, and I'm listening to it. I'm from the back of the room because I can't sit with the headphones on. I'm like laughing because he's being like, he's not like falling for the defense's game, which I did a few times later, but that's a story for another day. He's just like sitting there like, no, I told you it's underreported. And the defense is like, it's underreported. I told you it's underreported. What does that mean? It's underreported. And he's like, I remember what he said at the time, but it was really funny. You wouldn't think I'd find humor in that, but I did. Like, it was interesting. Like, it was a very stoic cop moment for me, and I found that amusing. Because he had enough information to discount anything the defense experts said, because the defense expert actually did a piss poor job and didn't actually even use the right calculation. So anyway, that amused me. And that's the kind of stuff that the DA, you could tell the DA has no idea, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So so everybody goes through speaking. I'm getting up, I'm asking for bathroom breaks every 5 minutes. I don't even know why. I'm nervous. I'm like nervous peeing. I don't know. I couldn't sit down. I had to pee all the time, but I didn't want to drag the case out any longer, and yet that's kind of what I did. It wasn't on purpose. So when my dad can't even get through his speech, he starts breaking down on the stand. I think my parents, for some of it, didn't sit in the courtroom. I think my mom might have, but my dad didn't. Tamara, I asked Tamara for some oil. She had Valor. That helped me a lot because I was in so much pain. I was like freaking out. Had this big picture. The DA had brought a big picture of the car, the mangled car, and I had brought this big picture of Alon, which is now sitting and watching over me. And it was a picture I didn't want to ever share with anybody. It was a very private picture. It was him in bed smiling up at me. And when it's my turn to speak, I walk past the picture, I kiss his face, and I go sit down. And, you know, I've said to you a million times, I can't cry in these situations. I would love to say I was that grieving mother, and I'm not saying it to be in a manipulative mood, but I know that I look like a hard ass, I guess. Like, I know that I don't look like what you expect a grieving mother to look like when I'm in court, but holy crap, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I think there were other people crying on the stand. I knew it wasn't going to be me. So I get up there, I read my statement. It's all about he did this, 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 he did this. At what point do we hold him accountable? At what point, all of this led up to the death of my child, at what point do you hold him accountable? And all of this, may I mention one more time, all of this was easily accessible on the Wisconsin's court records website and in the police report, okay? All of this, everything I said about this man. The judge, excuses me, looks at the DA and is asking him for confirmation on everything I said. The DA is like scrambling on his computer. He's got nothing. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You have one job. You have one job. One job. Let's say he just has a super huge caseload. It's a lot of stuff. He's not going to be familiar with everybody. But then have a meeting with me. meeting with your investigator, have a meeting with my family beforehand so you know what we're going to say. And guess what? I would have said, hey, I'm bringing up his record. I would have assumed as a prosecutor, you're going to bring up his record. No, you talk about my son. You don't know my son. You could talk about my son till you're blue in the face. That's great. He was an amazing kid. I understood you were trying to make that point. But let's talk about the law here for a second. Let's talk about the law. Why prison? Why prison? All right, this is the part I don't remember. Yeah, I'm very angry. Thank you for noticing. I swear to God, I don't remember this. In his closing, in the DA's closing, he totally messed up the numbers. The time of seconds he would have needed to stop. The time in seconds he would have needed to stop. The distance he would have needed. That kind of stuff. It was all actually to his favor. It was all actually to the defendant's favor. So if you were to, so there would basically be no appeal because the DA sort of gave him a gift there, like, or, yeah. So he totally messed up the numbers. And then he, this is the part I don't remember, okay? And that's why I want the court records. Apparently he must have asked for a very lenient sentence, like jail and probation. I was like, no. And I was told not, not to expect much, maybe expect a year at most, go in there not expecting much. The judge, I swear to God, felt like he was talking for hours. And I don't know where he was going. I honestly had to pee. I was in a daze. Oh, and the defendant also spoke at some point, and in the newspapers, I saw the lady from the newspaper there. She didn't stay for that part, but he did speak. She got a lot of stuff wrong in the article about court, but he did end up speaking. I don't remember what he said. I'm sure he took notes. I'll get to you next week about that. So the judge is talking and talking and talking, and I'm just like, I'm looking back at the cops, and they're just like game faces, and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm trying to do that, but I'm just getting angrier and angrier. I don't know where he's going with it, and I'm just like, oh my God, he's gonna let this guy go. Oh my God, he's gonna let this guy go. And I'm like furiously taking notes. And honestly, I would have to look at my notes, but the sentence was 2 years in prison and a bunch of years probation. And I'm actually not even sure what the sentence was, but everything was to be served concurrently instead of consecutively. And he was going to be remanded right away. Oh, that made me so happy. He had his time. He had his freaking holidays. Yeah, he should be remanded. You came to court, you should have been ready to go. I'm sure he wasn't. In many ways, that was a relief. That was, I guess, more than we were led to believe that we would get. But I had problems with what the judge said. No, I'm not going to deal with this now. I'm going to deal with that next week after I read my notes. And now I know more because I've actually had a personal conversation with the judge. So we go, I have to pee like you wouldn't believe. My friends are all going out to the hallway. I stay behind to hug the fire chief, and he's like, that was like a gift. I thought at most a year. He's like, I'm really happy. Like, I was surprised. And the cops say to me, do you want to stay and watch him be remanded? Because they were taking care of they had the courtroom for another half an hour before the next case, and they were going to take care of some stuff that they had to take care of, stuff he had to sign or what have you. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta pee. Well, then I go to pee, I get stopped in the hallways by a bunch of people wanting to hug me, and I missed the fucker being pulled away and handcuffs, I wanted that so bad. I wanted to see him cuffed and led away. We go up to, I come back, I'm pissed now, because my stupid bladder, and I knew I should have interrupted court one last time to pee so I can enjoy this part. It's like when I do yoga, if I have to pee before Shavasana, it's gonna drive me crazy because then I can't enjoy it. So same thing, could not enjoy him being led away in handcuffs. And yes, don't label me a garbage person for that. That I deserve. So we go up to the DA's office, one floor up. And I don't even know what he's saying at this point. I think, his point was that he will definitely serve those. There's no time off for good behavior. He's definitely serving 2 years. And then the investigator says, let me tell you what the judge was trying to do. That's not how he said it, but he was pointing out that the judge was making it so there's no, making it, whatever he said, it was so there could be no appeal. So after this, I think we ate in Watertown, my family and I. Yeah, I think we ate at a diner in Watertown. Not that great either. There was a sense of relief, but for me, now I had to ask for restitution. I'm gonna try to do this here. So, and not next week. So it wasn't over. There were a couple things that I had to do now. Wait for the appeals period to end so I could get anything left in the car and go up there and ask for restitution. So the DA is like, I don't know anything about restitution. Can you talk to your lawyer? Thanks. So my lawyer kindly doesn't charge me for talking to me about why I can ask for restitution and what it is I can ask for restitution, but what the DA and the judge's role are generally speaking in restitution cases. Same judge, same DA. Okay, so I go to court for restitution, I think the first court in February, first date in February, and sitting on the stand, and the defense attorney is like just a complete a-hole. Like he just keeps hammering at me, and as I said before, like saying, I wasn't subpoenaed to come to court all those times, so I don't deserve to get court costs back. Like, I wasn't even asking for that much. Honestly, in restitution, I wasn't even asking for that much. I think I was asking for the cost of the memorial, me driving back and forth, like hotels, some things, every time I had to like change plans to go to court. So I really wasn't asking for that much. I made a spreadsheet, got it all down, and sent it to the DA, and he submitted that. Somehow that got delayed. We had to postpone it to finish it another day. I don't even remember why. I'd have to look at my notes. So the second time I'm up there, I've now had no communication with the DA and no communication with the victim witness lady. I have pages and pages of my credit card bills, not knowing that they weren't going to go. I thought we were going to go through them and write down what we needed and then copy those. No, like 28 pages of my credit card bills are now copied by the victim witness lady and submitted to court. So now they know all my spending habits, which is not what I want for anybody. I'm sure they can be FOIA'd. I'm letting you know. Enjoy. Happy birthday. So that makes me so furious. So some of the things that I had asked for is money for like the recurrence of the treatment for BPPV, some of the physical therapy that none of the things were covered, and the trips and stuff. So the lawyer comes back at me, read this, and the civil settlement, he wasn't a part. His client wasn't a part of the civil settlement. It was the insurance companies and the trucking company, the other family, my ex-husband, me. I'm reading through it. I'm like, it's all in legalese. I'm reading it as I understand it. And he keeps asking me the same question. And I keep saying, I don't know. Like, what do you want me to do? And finally, like at one point, the judge turns to me and he's asking me about like some charges. And I turned to him and I said, look, I was on a lot of morphine. I wasn't walking. I don't even know. I don't know if I paid this one or if my mom paid this one. I honestly don't know what to tell you about that one. I'm just doing the best I can here. And he's like, thank you for your honesty. And he granted me all but $2,000 of what I asked for, which again was not a lot of money. But it just brought me to another thing of the DA like not being prepared and no one preparing me to sit on the witness stand. So the first time I was up there for like at least an hour No, it was like half an hour of them, both of them grilling me, and I wasn't prepared. Like, you see, you know, I know TV has ruined what we all think of, you know, how things work in the medical examiner's office and court and stuff, but you see people being prepared. I wasn't prepared to sit on the stand. I didn't know what I was supposed to say or what they were going to ask me or why we were even there. I wasn't prepared. I was like emotionally, like, I don't know, devastated is the wrong word, but it took its toll, and I was like crying the entire way home. It's a 3-hour drive for me, the way I go. My mom, like, I felt like I couldn't tell her, you know, I was just like, you have no idea what this guy was saying to me. And she said, well, okay, I'll come with you the next time. I'll come with you next time. I'm like, okay, thank you. Because I was alone. So my mom came with me the next time and saw that the way the defense attorney was treating me. And like, again, how stupid are you to treat a mother who lost her child this way? But okay, apparently that's who you are. This is why I call him a slime ball. There's no tact, there's no gentleness, there's no understanding. There's just like, why are you asking for money for my client? Hasn't he paid enough? And no, he's paid nothing. He's paid nothing, nothing. He's paid with 2 years in prison, thank God. And I didn't get to see him taken away, but I did get to see him in the jumpsuit with the handcuffs, and that made me happy is the wrong word. So she sees this now, how I'm treated. And I'm like, thank God someone is seeing this. So the DA is not prepared. No one's prepared me. I don't know what's going on. But now it's finally over. It's finally over. I get my restitution. The judge orders the restitution. It comes out. I'm getting these, as some of you who follow me know, I'm getting $4, $5, sometimes $2 a month, depending on how the state takes out their monies. He's getting out of prison on Tuesday the 15th, and then I have to come after him for the restitution. But it wasn't even that I wanted the money. It's not even about the money. I mean, I did take a huge loss on some things because of him, but it wasn't even about the money. To me, it was the principle. The DA is the one who said, let's ask for restitution. These were costs, and they could have been more. These were costs that were associated to the trial, the criminal case, and I don't see why shouldn't. It's allowed within the law. So I'm going to, I have one more post I want to make about the case, and it's about the judge and it's about the DA. I'm going to save that for next week because I've obviously been very yelly already. And but I will say that it was released. So in, I believe March it was, of 2017, the case was concluded, and later that year I was able to get the rest of Alon's things from the car. So that's a long time. I think that, I'd have to look. I think I got them all roughly around August because of the appeals process and stuff. So I want to say, so what is that, like 3 years? 3 years, 3 years of my life. So I was in limbo for 3 years, which is why I haven't started the talking really about the faith and purpose part of my job. But I want to say, I mean, I know the people at the sheriff's office know how I feel about the work they did for me, and I'll get more into that next week as well. But having the stuff back from his car, knowing that's not their job, knowing that the sheriff wasn't gonna even let me come and pick that stuff up. The sheriff actually, it was April that I picked up my stuff. I remember clearly now. I was in Madison for an event, and I drove to Dodge County on the way home to pick up my things. And the sheriff wasn't gonna let me do that. I just don't, it's that lack of empathy and compassion. And I said that before, like, I believe that the DA, and again, not a job I want to have, okay? Not a job I could do, maybe. I don't know. I understand when you have 15 million cases, it can be hard to dig up empathy and sympathy, but maybe you're in the wrong line of work. I don't know. You know, the DA would look at me with a face as if he understood the loss and the pain, but then he didn't treat the case that way. And so when I know more about that now than I ever did before, and I'm losing my voice, so I think I'll address that next week. I didn't listen to Billy Bob and learn to speak from my diaphragm. So I'll touch on that more next week. Thank you so much for watching.